Hey Chavi, it's Amy. Okay, so I know we talked about kind of changing up the way you did reports so that it's not such a heavy burden, especially on those days you have like 10 or 20 reports or whatever to do. So I came up with an idea. This isn't the finished product. This isn't perfect. This isn't anything like that. It's just a general, sorry, I'm like an idiot with my phone. It's just a general kind of a concept to, anyways. Okay, so, this will be that it could be a header right here, and see the address that you have on your reports are up here, but they're also down here, which I think is required by the AIUM. So if the address is down here, then we can kind of make it simple right here, and that'll take up a lot less space. So I just put myself in here as the patient as an example. So like, the patient's name, the date of birth, the provider, the location, and see, this is where one of those things where like, so if it says West Jordan, and I think AIUM requires that the address of the performing facility be somewhere in the report. And so like, so this is the Riverton address, but it says West Jordan. So for instance, if it's done in West Jordan, then we'll change it to the West Jordan address here and information like that. So anyways, that's just an example. So like, yeah, so if it's done in West Jordan here, I'll have something be done to where the address at the bottom can be West Jordan. Exam, and the spacing is not permanent. It's just, yeah, we can work on it later. Anyways, but the exam types, it'll be transabdominal and have the CPT code, which I know that I think AIUM and or Alex has been asking for quite some time. So that'll be done there. Wait, where's my little, oh, here we go. So transabdominal, transvaginal. So if a transabdominal is done only, then I have it in such a way that, here, let me show you. It's, okay. So for instance, all these boxes, right? So the exam type. So it'll be set up something like this on the input end where for exam type, so this is the exam type and everything will be permanent. But then these, what is my thinking? Okay. The transabdominal and the transvaginal will be options. They won't be there automatically. They won't be static. So on every exam, I'd have to go through and select if a transabdominal was done and or a transvaginal or vice versa. And so the only ones that will come up will be the correct code for the exam that was performed. And but then it can just be selected that way. Anyways, okay, date of service, blah, 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 history, and so comparison technique. And so this is another one where if the transvaginal is done, oh, see, this is a typo. Anyways, this should say transabdominal, but so if only a transabdominal is done, I'll put this. If only a transvaginal is done, I'll put this. If they're both done, I'll put both of them. And then the uterus measurements, and this goes back to the boxes where it says, uterus measures. So these will be static, and then this will be variable by the different exam. And then it could have a little blurb about it. You can put wherever you want, the myometrium, endometrium, whatever you want to put here. And then right ovary would be, the measurements I'd put in, leftover measurements I'd put in. And then the impressions, this, and this, your signature block. And then this is something that I know that Hutch had to put into his reporting system. It's the date and the exact time that it was read. So hopefully we'll be able to make something to where, going back to the format, so it'll be something like, you'll type in the impression here, push the tab button, and it'll take you to here, and you'll be able to put a T for today, tab, and then it'll come up with today's date, which is the date that you read it. and then you tab over, and then it will be this time, and then you'll put N for now, and it'll put the exact timestamp that you read it. So it looks more complicated than it is going to be. So it'll just tab T, tab N, done, right? Okay, so going back here, and then like I said, with the address, it would coordinate with this location. Okay, so anyways, this is the divvying up of work, right? So I would go through and I type out the patient name, I type out the patient's date of birth, the provider, the location it was done, again tying it to this address down here. Exams, like I explained last time before, I'd put only the exam code that was done. Date of service I'd get from the exam, history I'd get from the exam, and oh, see, this is not, I shouldn't have, oh. Okay, this is green, this comparison is green, but it should be yellow, because, so green is what I'm gonna do, and yellow is what you're gonna do. So you would put the comparison here, so I'll have to change that, but, and then again, I would just use drop downs to put which ones are, which one's which. I'd enter all the measurements, and then these would just be little text boxes where hopefully you could use your dictaphone, if that's what you're using, and say, you know, key in homogeneous normal endometrium. This is where you talk about the uterus, what it looks like, all these things, blah, blah, blah. So, and then you push a tab, it'll take you to this second text box. You can dictaphone your what you want to say, tab over dictaphone to this third portion, tab over dictaphone to this impression, and okay, when it looks the way you want it, come down here, tab T, tab N for today and now, and then the report is going to look something like this, and then you'll upload it as being finished. Okay, so these are just some ideas. There's a couple of different things we can do. I'm not super, like, I'm tech savvy enough. I'm not super great at it. I think if I spent a couple of days working on it, I could come up with some sort of rudimentary, because I did this in PowerPoint, which I love PowerPoint, but I'm sure I could come up with some sort of rudimentary format to where I can, you know, enter all my stuff easily and in an effective manner, and then, you know, you can have your own little boxes or whatever. So so that's one option. Another option could be like, so I looked on Fiverr, and there's some guys who are, some females too, who are computer programmers, but they're also have a history in working in healthcare related IT. So a lot of them, or there's a few of them that could come, that say, you know, we could make your own forms through Excel, or which is another one I used, or not Google Forms, but like the forms, dot or whatever it's called. Anyways, you know, it might cost 100, maybe. Honestly, I have no idea how much it would cost. This isn't brain surgery. This is pretty simple. And I'd make it so that I could upload more options, or would change things around in a very basic manner. But so I don't know how much it would cost on there. It was like, oh, $15 for a basic one, $60 for this and that. I can't imagine it cost you more than $150 or whatever. But if we could make it to where, you know, we could breeze through these, you know, entering the information would just be a matter of, you know, drop down and select, and then you can just dictaphone into these other sections that you have to talk about. I mean, I think that would be a good investment. But so anyways, those are two options. I can come up with something. We can try and get somebody else who's a little bit more tech savvy to come up with something. And then the way Hutch and I do it is, he has a folder where he uploads the reports that are done. And then I'll go through them and check for errors. And then anything I find that needs to be corrected, I'll put into a separate folder that he checks. And then he'll go through fix what needs to be fixed and re-uploads them into his file. It's kind of like a little, cycle. So anyways, we could do something like that for us. And we could come up with something where so at the end of every day, I would go through and fill out the reports. I'd fill out my portions of the reports for whatever exams were done that day. And then I'd put them in a folder to you. You could download them, do your, your little blurbs here. And then once it's finalized, you can put it back into a folder like we do now, upload it to a folder. Then I would take that and put it into the ECW. So anyways, those are some ideas that I had. I think this would really help streamline your process. I think you're doing a lot of work that, for one, could be done by me, and for two, could be simplified by technology. So anyways, those are some ideas. Again, this is not what your thing is going to look like. Technically, it will be cleaner. It'll be nice. It won't look so, disorganized. It will look better, but this is the gist of it. But if you want to change it, we can change font, we can change whatever. You want to change structure, we can too. It's really up to you. Anyways, this is just an idea that I had. Let me know what you think. And then I can either, dig around with it and see what I can come up with, or I can try and find somebody who can do something like this. Yeah. Okay. Let me know. Thanks. Bye.